So it's very much like a dating game. I would an iPad for free. आपको सिर्फ 45 मिनट्स की ब्रेक मिलती है एंड में जब आप आते हो ना लाइक 6वें घंटे पे रोना निकल जाता है.
So hello everyone, today it's an honor to introduce Manik, who has been a student, a medical student in the US. काफी students पूछ रहे थे अगर आप MBBS इंडिया में करते हो, और an example of a current student जिन्होंने अभी इंडिया से MBBS करके US में पढ़ने की सोची. Especially MBBS के बाद आपकी MD होती है, आपकी रेजिडेंसी होती है, बहुत सारे प्रोसेस होते हैं. There are so many pieces of information जो काफी difficult हो जाती है to understand. But Manik will be breaking down his journey. So hi Manik, can you please introduce yourself?
So, hey everyone, my name is Manik Madan. I recently graduated from India, like from KIMS Medical College in Bangalore, and did the whole USMLE process, matched into Penn State Hershey, where I'm a resident doctor here in psychiatry, which was my dream specialty. Step 1 score of 260, if you guys care about scores. Step 2 CK score of 271, so that's in the 90th percentile. And I have my own channel where I guide students about like the USMLE for free, like from A to Z. So nice to meet you.
तो आप अपनी जर्नी बताना, आपने कौन से कॉलेज इन इंडिया में आपने MBBS कंप्लीट की, एंड व्हेन वाज योर ड्रीम स्टार्टेड टू स्टडी अब्रॉड?
So I actually I did my medical schooling from KIMS Medical College, Bengaluru, which is in Karnataka. So South India, though I am from North India. So it was like a kind of a very different experience because, you know, like North India, South India are like different in their culture, heritage and everything. So that was a really good experience for me. And after I went to KIMS, I was like, I want to go like to another different country just to like see how the world works. Because when you're like stuck in a place, you always feel like the world works in a certain way. This is like the reality. But then that breaks when you go to a whole like from north to south. And if you go to another country, you'll like start seeing like how cultural penetrates reality and how it shapes everything. So I wanted to see how it was in different countries, and America was like the best country to do medicine. And I've always had the American dream, you know, like that big American dream where you make your way like into this society and like you let it build you into like whatever you want it to be. So that's when like in KIMS, like from first year, I had like seniors who were doing USMLE. They were like very open with me. Like they told me about what the whole process was, like how to start the step 1 process and then like to the whole match process. So I was very much oriented from the first year, I would say. And मेरा mind बन गया था first year से कि मैं करने वाला हूँ USMLE.
And आपको नहीं लगता US is also one of the most difficult school to get in? Like काफी जैसे कि UK और काफी यूरोप schools and Australia, वहाँ पे as a doctor after MBBS जाना आसान है और US में थोड़ा difficult है, आपको लगता है?
I would definitely agree with that, but there are like a few choices that might even be harder. For example, Canada. So Canada has its whole separate exam called NCQE, and they do not prefer external candidates at all. So वो अपने लोगों को लेते हैं. But all in all, if you compare it to the UK and let's say Australia and a whole lot of let's say Germany, it is far harder to match into a US residency spot for like the sole reason that it is like US is the place where medicine is at its cutting edge, where like the best in the whole mind of medicine are really practicing at, and you'll see so much research going on. And also like the residency like salaries here as well as work-life balance is unbeatable compared to like if you look at other countries. So there's a lot of competition. You'll see like in the USMLE process, not just Indian people who are applying, it's just like people from all over the world, and their own medical students are applying. So you're competing with not just like one country but the whole globe, right? So it is harder, yes, in a lot of ways. Yeah,
I completely agree. US is all about bigger hard work and bigger reward. Risk भी यहाँ पे ज़्यादा है in terms of visa, and bigger reward भी है यहाँ पर. So it's totally worth it. And आपके ख्याल से अगर आपको consider करना है for masters, which country you think is the easiest? आपने काफी research की है. अगर आपको in your mind हो, मैंने सुना है कुछ students कहते थे यूक्रेन काफी easy था before the war. And जब मैं मतलब नॉन मेडिकल कर रहा था, आपके ख्याल से अगर किसी स्टूडेंट को इजी कंट्री भी अंदाजे में पता होनी चाहिए तो कौन सी होगी?
So I think you're talking about MBBS. Like for that, yes, like Ukraine used to be a good choice. Russia is like a lot of people go there, but like if you're talking residency, I would argue that PLAB is probably the easiest pathway. It's even more easier compared to like what we have in India, which is NEET PG, because PLAB is not as competitive. And the sole reason for that is it is not scored. So all it is a pass fail exam. So you give PLAB 1, pass fail, pass it, right? And even if you fail, it doesn't show. Unlike USMLE, where if you fail, you're done mostly, right? Because they show that attempt. If you're failed, like a lot of program directors, when they like go through the interview selection process, they can see the failed attempt and they don't want you, even if you failed it once. PLAB, they can't see that. So all you need to do is pass it, right? If you fail it, you just need to pass it again. Nobody will know. PLAB 2, pass it, and like you go to the UK, get your training spot, like 2 years of training as what's called as FY1 and FY2 foundational years, and then you can like go into whatever specialty you want to. And it's like not scored, not competitive. Yes, some people would argue, yes, like there are like you have to compete for jobs, but I'm still like gonna be saying that compared to India, it's far more easier to go into residency in UK.
Yeah.
Even USMLE, like compared to any other pathway, I would say like UK is the easiest. But there are certain downsides that you need to know about, like the UK, because the salary isn't that high. Like if you compare it to US, where the salary is, let's say, like in the starting years, my salary right now is $65,000 per year, right? There, the salary that you're gonna get is 30,000, and the taxes there are insane, right? In the starting year. Because if you compare US to, let's say, London, you're living in London, you're going to be spending so much money compared to what I'm spending right now, right? Number one. And number two, like the salary increase isn't as much. And like it caps out really at a lower level compared to US. For example, you can earn millions of dollars here if you want, right? In UK, you cannot do that. It's very hard because the whole system is like built around NHS, which is more of like, so this is the capitalism versus socialism debate. So that's why you cap out. Like no matter how much hard work you do, you can't reach this American dream per se.
Totally agree. In some cases, the salary you make during your residency, जब आप higher education कर रहे होते हो in medicine in US, that is more than what you make after your residency in UK in some cases. मैंने ये भी
Even
देखा.
India, like what I'm making right now is a dream for a lot of people in India. And a lot of people have this misconception that US is very expensive. Yes, it turns like, yeah, rent, I would agree. A lot of cases I would agree, but food, I don't think it's like if you're not going to restaurants, we're going to, let's say, Walmart, the food isn't that expensive. Like, honestly. So what you make here compared to what you spend here, the earning to like spending ratio, I would say is very high, right? Compared to what you would like do that in the UK or India.
Absolutely agree. Now let's talk about how difficult it is for you to make it to US for your higher medical education. So USMLE के कितने rounds थे? आपने कौन से year of college में start किया and how was your process?
So I'm just gonna put a basic outline to the whole USMLE process. So the first part of USMLE is called USMLE Step 1, and that mainly includes the first 2 years of medicine or MBBS that you will study, right? So once you like people give Step 1 in there, either you can give it in like the starting of your 3rd year. So you have to do it after your 2nd year. You can't even do it during your 2nd year because you have to be a 2nd year graduate at least to write USMLE Step 1, because you have to be done with both of them. You can do it anytime after that, after you're done with your 2nd year, right? So you are done with Step 1. So that's Step 1. Step 2 is, I think, Step 1 plus your 3rd and 4th years. So it's all like 4 years of medicine tested in one exam, but it's far more clinically relevant compared to what Step 1 is. Step 1 is more about biochemistry, like, stuff you don't see, like tangible, like stuff in medicine. Step 2 is more about, okay, if the patient has some kind of chest trauma, how are you going to manage it? If they have like a lung contusion, like what are you going to do next? So that's Step 2, right? So you can do Step 2 after your 4th years is over, right? Anytime after that, you can do it like Step 1, Step 2, even after you graduate. So you just need to know. Once you're done with Step 1 and Step 2, now they've introduced a new exam called OET, Occupational English Test, so which is used even in UK and Australia. There used to be Step 2 CS, which I know like a lot of people would have heard of. So it was more, Step 2 CS was more of like they were trying to test your communication skills with the patient. So it was like you seeing like 12 patients, and then they were gonna see, okay, mark you on how your interaction was with one patient. Did you do the right workup? That was Step 2 CS, right? But they discontinued it due to COVID-19 and replaced it with OET, which is just your application of English in medicine. That's it. It's not like TOEFL, which is like all around English. It's more like English in medicine. Can you just like communicate well in medicine with English? That's what they care about. So once you're done with that, that's a pass-fail exam mostly. So once you're done with that, you have this application ready. It's like step 1, step 2, and OET. And once you have this ready, you can get what is called as ECFMG certified. ECFMG stands for Educational Council for Foreign Medical Graduates. So a US MD is a US graduate. So is a US DO, correct? Right. And foreign medical graduates are people who have graduated outside of America. And the way to be equal, considered equal to what a US MD or a DO is by getting ECFMG certification. So this whole council, Educational Council of Foreign Medical Graduation, after they look at your step 1, step 2, and OET, they're like, okay, you're at the power, if not better, like than a US MD or DO, and you're allowed to participate in the match. So it is a way that all the US hospitals and medical schools, they see that if you're good enough, right? That's what the whole point is. So once this is done, you get ECFMG certification, you are not done. It's just that you're at power with the MDs, DOs. You cannot still practice in America. And like this, I think a lot of people have this like misconception, because kya hota hai, India mein, if you've done MBBS, you can start practicing medicine. But in America, you cannot practice medicine without residency, which is, I know, comes off as a bit weird to a lot of people. It did to me too, but you cannot do that. So even if you're ECFMG certified, you're at power with all these people, you still have to do residency as they do, right? So then we apply for something called as the match. So what is the match? Okay, so the best way I can describe match to you is like a dating game, like Tinder, right? And the way I can say is, let's say like I am the guy and then there's the girl, right? Girls, all of the girls here are the residency programs, right? And I, as the guy, am the applicant. And there's the right left swiping game going on, right? That is what the match is. So what makes you attractive in the match is your step 1 score, step 2 score, how good your application is. So this also includes what your medical school says about you, which is called as MSPE. How good did you perform in your medical school, which is your transcripts. And then what's your personal statement about, which is your love letter, right? So yeah, so that's what I put in my profile. So like it's called the NRMP match. So you make your ERAS CV. So like what a CV is, it includes all your scores and all these things that I talked about, a holistic review of who you are. And you put that in like this Tinder-like thing called the NRMP match, like ERAS application, which works in the NRMP match. And now what happens is once you submit your application, all the programs will start reviewing it, whether you're a good, and they'll ask themselves, like they'll get like 1,000 applications and they'll try to interview out of 1,000, like 10%, 100%, right? Out of 10%, they'll try to get 100 people to interview. That doesn't mean that you made it. That just means they're going to interview you, right? They're going to go on a date with you, see if you're in the right match. And if you win, right, marriage happens or something, like, you know, you guys get together. If it doesn't, right, like you just don't get matched. So that is like, so let's say I, as an applicant, start applying and I apply to, let's say, 150 programs. Out of the 150 programs, if you're an international graduate, getting more than 10 like interviews from 150 programs, like even 10 programs to like, you know, interview is a big thing, because they are taking a risk. And the reason they're taking a risk is, if you are an international medical graduate, most probably you need a visa, which is another headache for them, which a lot of them don't want, right? So you have to make sure that your application is at least better than so many people around you. And even if not, like if possible, better than US MDs and DOs, so that they are willing to take that risk, right? Because you're a foreigner now, right? So you need to make sure like that happens. So that is what the match is. I apply, all the programs review it, and they're like, okay, we'll go on a date with you, which is the interview. And if it works out, a match happens. And the way this happens is, for example, I interviewed with 15 programs, right, by myself. And they will also interview, let's say, 100 applicants. Out of those 100 applicants, they will start creating what is called as a rank order list. So let's say I was their 10th choice, right? Okay, first program's 10th choice. The second program will name me as the first choice, right? Third program will say, hame isko lena hi nahi, hum dalenge nahi, because hamari bani nahi. So they won't even include me in the rank order list. And similarly, I will create my own rank order list. So if I've interviewed 15 programs, I will start ranking them from 1 to 15, and 1 being my highest like priority, like this is my like selection that I want to go in. to 15 being I don't want to go there, right? 1 to 15, right? And I can not even rank some programs if I don't like at all, right? So you create your own rank order list, they create their own rank order list, and we put that in an algorithm, which is called the match algorithm. And on like in the March 14th, so on March 14th, they announce whether you're matched or not based on this algorithm, right? Them ranking 50 applicants, me ranking 15 programs. If somehow I get in some program, right, that works out. So you don't know on March 14 where you got in, but on March 18th, they will reveal it to you where exactly you get in. So the whole process, as you can see, is a big, like this whole algorithm thing is risky, like, because you don't know where you're going to get in, right? It could be your 6th choice, 7th choice, based on how they rank you and how you rank them. The whole thing changes. So it's very much like a dating game, I would say. Like that's the best way to explain it, I guess.
What a wonderful explanation, yaar. So this sums up the whole process. It's my hard work at 3 steps, USMLE, hard work, dedication. Then there's a lot of luck involved. Then there's visa involved. And there is a lot of matching game, jisme university has a choice and you have a choice, and wo choice match nahi ho rahi, then you don't match. So there's a lot of risk factors involved in this process, which makes it one of the most difficult residency program in the world.
Yeah, and one thing I forgot to add is they only have like 6 spots. Let's say for psych, they'll have 6 spots, but they'll interview 100 people. And then they'll make the rank order list of 50 people. You get what I'm saying? And then they'll create, okay, this is, let's say I was their 10th choice. And the first 6 choices take them, right? And like they rank them higher than me and they match there. I won't match there. Do you get what I'm saying? Even if I'm their 10th choice. So it makes it so risky, if does make sense, right? So yeah. And matching into a university program, which is where I am at, like, and if it's like an Ivy League, is the hardest thing you can do, because there's a difference between community versus university programs, right? Community programs are much more like a hospital-based service, right, provider, where you don't get as much as education as you would need to like progress further in your career, versus a university program, which has far more resources than a community program because they're a university. And secondly, far more of a teaching environment because of those resources, right? So it's always like getting to a university program is probably the hardest thing you can do, like in the whole university process, because it's just so much better than a community one. So it's again like a dating thing, right? Like university versus community. I want to get into with the university, right? So
what a wonderful explanation. And आपके ख्याल से how difficult it was for you being an Indian applicant competing with people all around the world? आपको क्या लगा कि आप being Indian, did you have any edge? Did you were like more prepared from coming from Indian college? आपको ज़्यादा preparation दी गई थी as compared to others or not?
So if you look at the whole USMLE, like this whole process of like getting into a US residency, you will see that Indian applicants make the most amount of foreign medical graduates that actually get into the US. And even if you get into like US here, you'll see like so many doctors who even go to US MD schools, DO schools, right? And like come from the foreign, like there's just so many doctors everywhere. Every residency program, you'll see an Indian person, because like I feel like medicine in India goes hand in hand for some reason. Yeah. So if you're an Indian applicant, it is easier to get in than compared to other people like all over the world. And the sole reason for that is if you go to, let's say, Turkey, if you go to Brazil, if you go to other places, like English isn't taught to them since like their kindergarten days, which it is to us. In like English is considered very important in India since I think we were a British colony, but I was taught English from the start. So, and even taught in like medicine in English. So many of these like graduates that you compete with, medical students all over the world, they weren't taught medicine in English, but their own like home country language. And it's hard for them to make that transition into America. So many program directors, they like Indian applicants over other applicants, I would say. And secondly, it's just because there's just so many Indians there and they've like seen like how good Indian doctors are with medicine. So I think that might also introduce biases, which can help you in the end, rather than like go against you.
True. And US may around 30% of doctors are Indians. That's also
yeah you'll see that like just everywhere you'll see Indian people here.
और अभी मैं डॉक्टर के पास गया था one of Indian doctor, वहां पे Americans कह रहे थे that they are biased to go to an Indian doctor, and I was like, Indian doctors के लिए bias Indians के लिए नहीं है, there's also a bias for Americans. Some people from different culture have some bias क्योंकि trust बन चुका है US में at least.
I definitely, and I think that's why it was easier for me. like to get into this whole USMLE game compared to a lot of other people. And that's a privilege being from India if you want to do USMLE.
Yes, totally. And now let's talk about the difficulty level. तो आपके ख्याल से जो आपने processes किए ये सारे exams में आपने ये तो बता दिया the most difficult part is the matching. But overall step 1, step 2, step 3 सबसे ज़्यादा hard work किस step में जाता है और आपके course में कौन से steps को ज़्यादा target किया गया है?
So, by the way, I have a free videos on how to prepare for all the steps. If you do want to look at the course, it's called Exponential Advantage. It's just like a test taking course which teaches you on how to like solve USMLE questions, because USMLE questions, if you look at them, are very different compared to what you'll see in NEET PG or PLAB, because USMLE tends to test not just your understanding of medicine but also critical thinking at the same time, right? It's very much like a patient presents, okay, what could it be? And they'll give you so many clues and you have to sift through those clues in a short amount of time. So the question will be like a page long sometimes, right? And you have a minute or a minute and a half to solve it. So which requires a lot of good strategy, which I teach, right? But if you want to learn how to like prepare for free for all these steps, like just the basic outline, my channel does it for free, right? So out of all the steps, I would definitely say that step 2 would be the hardest, because step 2 isn't just like a sole step in itself like step 1. Step 1 is just like acha first and second year ho gaya. Step 2, step 1 like को भी लेगा और उसको और हार्ड बना देगा. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर स्टेप 1 में एक क्वेश्चन था लाइक इतना बड़ा, स्टेप 2 उसको इतना बड़ा बना देगा सेम क्वेश्चन को, और सेम टाइम है तुम्हारे पास, प्लस उसमें 2 या 3 लेवल्स ऑफ कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी बढ़ जाएगी. फॉर एग्जांपल स्टेप 1 की नॉलेज टेस्ट हो रही है, राइट, बायोकेमिस्ट्री, बट उसको लिंक करना है मेडिसिन के साथ और उसको लिंक करना है फार्माकोलॉजी के साथ. तो स्टेप 2 बहुत लाइक घुमाता है इस वे में. सो आई थिंक लाइक स्टेप 2 वाज हार्डर फॉर मी, right? A lot of people would say like it was the opposite. Step 1 was harder for them, but for me that was the case. So if I were to rate them in difficulty levels, step 2, out of 10 I would say 9 out of 10. Step 1 I would say 7 out of 10, and step 3 I would say 5 out of 10. Step 3 is, so step 1 is easier. I definitely think so, because you just have more time in medical school to prepare for that, and just like less complex and simple, right? It's more simple. Step 3 is easier because kya hota hai step 3? So step 3 is not required for matching, right? Most people give it after matching, like in the residency, and it's important if you want to continue residency. If you don't clear step 3, you'll be kicked out, because it's just like a passing exam that if you like, it has a score, but all they care about is passing, right? You don't have to score very high in this, like nobody cares about that. So that's why step 3 is the easiest, because nobody cares about the score, right? And a lot of, so kya hota hai, ye jo sare exams hote hain na, like they are graded based on how you perform compared to other people. They're not based on, okay, what was your individual performance. It's your individual performance versus other people that like makes your score happen. So step 3 mein kya hota hai, a lot of residents give it, and residency is busy. So most people do not study hard for step 3, and because they don't do as well, that gives you a chance to do better, because they don't do as well, right? You're scored compared to them, so unka score niche ja raha hai. Like if they're performing bad, you're performing good. So it's easier compared to step 1. Like step 3 is easier compared to step 2 and step 1. I would definitely say that. OET is like chill. If you know English, you'll pass OET.
Wonderful. And आप थोड़ा सा analogy भी बता दोगे, which one is harder, AIIMS, NEET या फिर USMLE, all combined?
So like here's my honest opinion. I've written NEET PG. I have a 4,480 rank, which is like out of a 2 lakh people, right? 4,480. I did not prepare for it, and the only like the way I did that was, it's like weird. So my dad's a doctor, and he was like, you have to give NEET PG. I didn't want to give it, and at that time I was preparing for USMLE step 1. I hadn't given it. It was like a month later, and NEET PG was just around the time. My dad made me register for it, and he was like, just go. So I got like 4 hours of sleep, like because I was preparing for my step 1, and then went to NEET PG and just gave it, and got finished half an hour early compared to other people, and still scored 4,480, which is out of 2 lakh. And I could get into like a really good institution, which was like a government institution, get paid like a $2,000 per month stipend if I wanted to, but I left that. And there are reasons for that, right? So what I wanted to just show you through this example is like preparing for step 1 will actually make every other exam far more easier for you. And the sole reason for that is step 1, like it tries to connect medicine. It doesn't try to say, okay, biochemistry is different from medicine. It says, okay, biochemistry plus pharmacology plus physiology is what makes medicine. and that's why you need to connect it, right? So if you prepare for step 1 and step 2, you don't even a lot of times need to read for AIMS, the exam for AIMS, INSCT, or even Indian exam NEET PG, because तुम far ahead हो गए like competition से, because competition hasn't learned that, like how to connect it, right? And it hasn't learned how to critically think, how to eliminate options, right? Like strategy. And you've been trained in step 1, like क्या होता है अगर तुम step 1 और step 2 के like questions देखोगे, इतने लंबे होते हैं, right? और उसको 1 मिनट में करना है, and it's very hard to do those things, right? If you are trained at this level, NEET PG is like 2 lines for the same amount of time, right? And you'll be like laughing when you give NEET PG or AIMS का भी like इतना question होगा, 4 line होगा, and you'll be like क्या मजाक है, right? But honestly speaking, like coming from all of this, if you prepare for step 1, like you can easily clear step 2 or step 1, you can easily clear all these exams. But the converse is not true. Absolutely not true. If you prepare for, let's say, AIM, INSCT, and try to write step 1 without any preparation, you will fail. Because I've seen people do that, because it's a whole different entity in itself, right? So based on that, step 2 the hardest, step 1 second hardest, then I would say like step 3 AIMS, and last one would be NEET PG. I'm not trying to like say like, you know, deteriorate the integrity or like, you know, the respect for these exams. I'm just telling all from my own experience. I respect NEET PG, I get it, but if you write step 1, you will understand. And secondly, I know I'm taking a long time to answer this, but if you look at the amount of time you need to give to step 1, so step 1 is itself how much long? It's 8 hours long. 8 घंटे का एग्जाम है, and आपको सिर्फ 45 मिनट्स की ब्रेक मिलती है 8 घंटे में, और इतने क्वेश्चन होते हैं, लाइक कितना एक ब्लॉक में 40 होते हैं, तो यू आर लाइक 280 क्वेश्चंस करने हैं with 45 minutes break in total, right? It's dependent upon you how you want to take it. तो एंड में जब आप आते हो ना लाइक 6 घंटे पे, रोना निकल जाता है, राइट? नीट पीजी कितनी देर का? 3 घंटे का, राइट? अब नेक्स्ट पीजी भी आ रहा है, दैट्स अ डिफरेंट गेम, बट नीट पीजी 3 घंटे का एग्जाम है, ये 8 घंटे का एग्जाम है, और उसमें 1 घंटा 45 मिनट की ब्रेक है. और एंड इफ यू रिटर्न लाइक यूएस एग्जाम्स, यू नो लाइक प्रोमेट्रिक में टाइम इतना वेस्ट होता है, आप बाहर जाओगे ना, फिंगरप्रिंट टेस्ट, आईज टेस्ट, ये करो, उसमें लाइक आपके 30 मिनट्स वेस्ट हो जाएंगे. तो ब्रेक में मजाक नहीं, 15 मिनट से ज्यादा की ब्रेक नहीं मिलेगी 8 घंटे में, राइट? एंड इफ यू लुक एट स्टेप 2 is 9 hours long, and it's a similar story, 45 minutes break. Step 3 is 16 hours long. 2 दिन का एग्जाम है, पहला दिन है 9 घंटे का, दूसरा दिन है लाइक 7 घंटे का, राइट? और आप जब स्टेप 2 लिखोगे ना, बस हो जाएगी, राइट? तो ये 33 hours versus 3 hours, right? You can already see the difficulty. And USMLE is just not a game of quantity. क्या होता है अगर आप नीट पीजी एम्स लिखोगे, 3 घंटे में आपका रैंक आया, राइट? लाइक आपने दे दिया, रैंक आया, और अगर अच्छा रैंक आपको कुछ भी मिल जाएगा. यहाँ पे ऐसे नहीं चलता. अगर आपका स्कोर बहुत अच्छा है, लाइक लेट्स से यू आर लाइक 99 percentile, बट आप में पर्सनालिटी नहीं है, यू डोंट नो हाउ टू कम्युनिकेट like with confidence, you don't know like have like charisma to you, you will not gel well with like become the right fit or gel well with the programs, because end mein date aayegi and you will fail on that date, because like it doesn't matter how smart you are then, right? Doesn't matter how much money you have, it matters how charismatic, how like interactive you are, that makes the other person like you. So step 2, like sorry, ye whole USMLE game is much more of a quality game too, where they're testing what kind of a person you are, because in the end you will treat patients far more with your words than with, let's say, any kind of treatment you will give to them or medications, right? Because it's all about communication. If patient does not feel understood, they will sue you. और they'll be like, ये नहीं समझ पा रहा हमारी बात, like क्या करूं मैं इसके साथ? तो नीट पीजी वो नहीं देखता, ये देखता है. तो this makes it far more harder, but the quality of the person you become at the end is far better, like compared to what these exams could do for you.
टोटली एग्री. ये मैं सोचता हूँ कि ये इंडिया में इट इज स्टिल लैकिंग. अगर आप इंजीनियरिंग में देख लो, चाहे आप यूएस कॉलेज में देख लो, प्रैक्टिकल वे ऑफ डीलिंग विद इंजीनियरिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स या फिर प्रैक्टिकल वे ऑफ डीलिंग विद पेशेंट्स, वो इतना नहीं सिखाते ये टेस्ट, जितना यूएस आपको स्टार्टिंग से सिखाना शुरू कर देता है.
Definitely.
बात करते हैं अबाउट द कॉस्ट. आपने एमबीबीएस इंडिया में कर ली, वो आप अफोर्ड कर लिया. नाउ व्हाट आर द कॉस्ट यू हैव टू बी रेडी टू पे, चाहे वो यूएसएमएलई हो गया या फिर कॉस्ट टू कम टू यूएस. कभी-कभी यूएसएमएलई का स्टेप 2 आपको यूएस में देना पड़ता है. वो सारी कॉस्ट मिला के आप कैन यू गिव एन एस्टिमेट कितना लगता
है? So I'm going to break down like cost event by event so that it's easier for everyone. So for the first exam you're going to write is step. and that's going to take about $1,000 minimum to write the whole exam, right? You're done with step 2, similar story, $1,000 done with that, right? So $2,000 spent in total, like right now for these exams. Then what's going to happen is you're going to do your clinical electives here in America. And the reason we do clinical electives is because you want something called as a letter of recommendation, LOR, जो वहां के यूएस के फिजिशियंस हमें देते हैं. बिकॉज क्या होता है, इंडिया और यूएस की मेडिसिन बहुत डिफरेंट है, राइट? एंड दे वांट अ यूएस फिजिशियन टू असेस यू फॉर अ मंथ, 2 months, 3 months to see if you are at power at practicing medicine in America, if you are adjustable at least, right? तो क्या होता है, तो उसके लिए पैसे लगते हैं electives के लिए. So you have to apply to big hospitals, let's say Mount Sinai, Yale, Mayo, or you can even apply to clinics if you want. So that's going to cost you at least a minimum of $1,500 per rotation. And this doesn't include cost of staying, which adds up, as you would know, significantly, right? 1,500. So at least, let's say for a rotation, it would take $2,500 minimum for one rotation. Like I'm saying, the cost of the rotation, food, and staying there, and a bit of travel, right? I'm not adding tickets right now. Tickets will add later, right? So $2,500 for like one rotation. You'll do 3 minimum. So $7,500 वहां पे आ गया. ये सबसे मेजर खर्चा होता है USMLE का electives, but they are very important, right? So 7,500 plus 2,000 जो पूछ रहे हैं, 9,500 हम यहाँ पे आ गए. अब let's say you're going to travel to America and come back, right? तो उसके लिए let's say you'll spend how much? $1,000, करेक्ट? इतना ही लगता होगा. 10,500 टोटल आ गया यहाँ तक खर्चा. OET का एग्जाम होगा, that would cost you 800, like let's say 500, sorry, 500. So $11,000 we have reached till now. Now you'll apply for the match, and the match also takes money from you. So you're going to buy tokens for the match. There's like a whole lot of things. Tokens will cost you money, and there are other additional extra costs. Let's say for ECFG certification, $1,000 tokens. So let's say $1,500 extra. Just summarizing it all, $12,500 till now. Now to apply for interviewing at places, you have to pay every like US medical school or hospital to apply to them, as you would know, right? You have to pay here. So that takes $10 per program, not 10, let's say 15, because I'm just like summarizing it very quickly. $15 per program, and you're going to apply to, let's say, 150 programs. So kitna hua? $2,250 there. We're looking at 15,000. Adding up, like, because I'm leaving out a lot of other things that should be added, but just for the sake of the time and effort, it's minimum 15,000. But as you will see, Uber की cost आ जाती है. लेकिन इंडिया में Uber बहुत सस्ता है, right? Ola बहुत सस्ता है. And you would have noticed, यहाँ पे अगर आपको कहीं जाना है, कितना 2,000 रुपए सिर्फ जाने के लग जाते हैं, 2,000 आने के, 4,000 ऐसे लग जाते हैं. तो there are so many costs that build up food की कि I can't just like put that very easily into a like whole price. I would say minimum you're looking at 15, right? What I had was 20,000 is what it took me. But what you need to understand is the rewards are far better compared to what you will have in India. क्या होता है India में, like people, like it's funny when people ask me how much do you pay for tuition for residency, and here residency is not like a college thing where you pay tuition. Here it's very much like a job. They pay
more than salary in UK जो आप graduate होने के बाद आपको.
Yeah, they pay you more than, and that is not all, right? They pay you actually, like they give you this CME money, so you can get an iPad for free every single year. iPad जो भी तुम्हें चाहिए तो यहाँ पे free वो मिलता है. They also pay you, like give you free meals. खाना free मिलता है hospital में बहुत time, and they give you meal money if you want to buy extra. Let's say $300 per month meal per quarter. So $300 per quarter. टोटल $1,200 पूरे साल का तुम्हें मिलता है खाने के लिए, right? And then there's other things also. यहाँ पे like they take care of you, free therapy है, like if you have any like kind of mental condition going on, there's a lot of other support, a lot of other events so which come, तो वो नहीं मिलता. So that is the reward. अब इंडिया में क्या issue है? If you're going to join even a government college, minimum 10,000 से 1 लाख I think फीस होती है गवर्नमेंट की, राइट? तो तुम वहां दे रहे हो, और अगर तुम स्टेट गवर्नमेंट में हो तुम्हारा स्टाइपेंड कितना होगा? 50,000 रुपीज, राइट? व्हिच इफ आई ब्रेक इट डाउन इट्स लाइक $600, राइट? सो $600 पर मंथ, और तुम 1 लाख उसका दे रहे हो, लाइक सिर्फ ट्यूशन का, राइट? यहाँ पे कोई फ्री खाना नहीं है. नोबडी इज गोना गिव यू CME मनी, नोबडी इज, एंड वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस इज टेरिबल. इफ यू नो, लाइक इन इंडिया, if you go just type like Indian doctors violence, Indian doctors पे जो अत्याचार हो रहे हैं, like you'll see, like अभी एक रेजिडेंट डॉक्टर था, he was not allowed to go home for a whole week. हॉस्पिटल में रखा, घर नहीं जाने दिया, उस बंदे को खाना भी नहीं दिया, nothing, like they treated him like a dog. He developed cellulitis of his left leg and now they're treating him. So India में like residents को बहुत time like they treat them as dogs. I do not kid you. You can just like go on YouTube and there are so many videos on this. Indian medicine is toxic, right? यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं है. There's a 80-hour work limit. You cannot surpass that. If you do, ACGME जो body इनको control करती है सारी residency programs को, it will start fighting with the program that how can you do that to that person, so they will fight for you. So यहाँ पे बहुत सारे laws हैं जो आपको protect करेंगे. 80 hours से आप ज्यादा work नहीं करते, work life balance, एक दिन की minimum छुट्टी मिलती है हफ्ते की, right? And then you have like a 1 month paid leave for the whole year, so you can take a 1 month, you can divide it up, like 4 weeks होते हैं, you can divide it up, you can get paid leave for that. Sick days भी हैं यहाँ पे, right? And work life balance is far better in America, I would say. Like I don't work 80 hours, I work like 60 hours a week, which is far better than working 120 hours in India and getting paid far less. Again, I'm not trying to humiliate Indian medicine. I very much am from there. I respect it, but this is the harsh reality of like what you're playing for. So in the end, this ends up being way cheaper for you. Yes, starting में वो investment लगती है. It's expensive, but the rewards that you get once you're a US doctor, and that doesn't stop here. Once you have a degree from America, you can go back to India if you want. They'll accept it. If you go to other countries, let's say Singapore accepts it. If you go to Middle East, right, where salaries are very high, they'll accept it. UK even accepts it now. So wherever you want to go, you have this world license with the USMLE thing that you can go anywhere in the world, travel if you want to. Like a person I knew went to New Zealand from US as an anesthesiologist and is practicing medicine there. So you can do whatever you want after that. Nobody's going to stop you.
So जो आप hard work कर रहे हो, risk of it going to waste is minimum. ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ एक ही country के लिए valid है, visa नहीं लगा तो your hard work will go waste. You have still chance of other countries जो ये process आप forward लेके जा सकते हो, right?
Yep, that's the best part, I would say. Like, and the kind of training you get here is like, I did not elaborate on this before, but the kind of training you get here is world class, right? Because you're learning from people. Let's say I was learning from this neurologist that I was working with. So I was doing my neurology rotations, and she has a $1.5 million grant to look at like the effects of COVID on the brain, right? So they are at their cutting edge of their field. वो पूरी research कर रहे हैं. जो आप देखते हो ना सारी guidelines, कैसे treat करनी है condition को, कहाँ से बन के आ रही है? अमेरिका से. American Health Guidelines, American Health Association says this, right? इंडिया में भी यूज होता है वो. So जो सारी cutting edge, like आप मेडिसिन में देखोगे ना वो यूएस में होता है, यूके में नहीं देखोगे, वो इंडिया में नहीं होता. और यहाँ पे रिसर्च बहुत ज्यादा है. तो जैसे अब हम पढ़ते हैं ना, फॉर एग्जांपल लेट्स से आई वांट टू ट्रीट सेलुलाइटिस, you will get access to up to date, which is the latest research in medicine, research based guidelines. वो इंडिया में नहीं हमेशा मिलता, right? So you will get access to a whole lot of tools for free, which your university will do, right? And you will be taught by people who are making these things, right? Who are literally developing the next big things. So you will get that perspective, you will get their approach handed down to you. So that's why Indian, like USC degree har jagah valid, because they know like this is the best, like world class level of training and state of the art facilities. For example, अब जैसे depression है, we like at Penn State have so many things. For example, ECT है सबसे advanced. जो बंदा ECT like even Harvard को भी guide कर रहा है, वो यहाँ Penn State में पढ़ाता है, right? So he, like ECT is electroconvulsive therapy. It's used like as a shock-based therapy if you have depression. DBS, deep brain stimulation, for OCD, for depression. So they implant electrodes and like they stimulate the deep brain, which is your subcortex, to improve depression, which is like a cutting-edge treatment now. There's also VNS for seizures. If you have seizures, they can put a device here, let's say like a defibrillator. If your brain has like a seizure or electric activity, it will like take away that, like if that makes any sense, it will destroy the electrical activity. So it's called a VNS. So you'll get exposed to these things like that you wouldn't even have heard of. So the best way I can describe this is it is beyond the standard of care. So standard of care is based on the current guidelines, what are you giving the right care? So that is standard of care. So medicine mein, we have to give standard of care. Yahan pe you go beyond it. You'll be like, what could we do better? And you would have seen that, like if you like work in even in software, you would see like here people aren't all about what is tested and what works. They are much more about, okay, what could we do better? What could we make? Like what new thing can we do, right? Like Peter Thiel says 0 to 1, right? Like going from like creating something new. So here people are very much dedicated to that.
Totally. And now let's talk about the rewards. इतना hard work करने के बाद, first of all, being an Indian, एक और privilege हमें मिलता है that we are able to finish the process faster than American students. American students क्या करते हैं? 8 years में अपनी undergrad करते हैं, and then finally 3 years of residency, and it's around 11 years of process. आपका शायद 12 years process है because your residency is 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Because it's in neurology, if I'm not wrong. Or
No, it's psychiatry. Yeah.
Psych. So it's in psych.
Yes, psych.
So आपका 12 year process है for an American, but for an Indian कितना?
For an Indian, like it's our medical school is 5.5 years, like if you include internship, and then let's say you do an internal medicine residency, then it's 8.5, 3 years of internal medicine. So total 8.5. Psychiatry, like let's say 4-year residency is 9.5. 8.5 to 9.5.
Brilliant. Like,
so we do it earlier than them, and you'll see it here that American graduates tend to be older than us because they just get in late, right? Because उनकी undergrad होती है, फिर वो कभी 1 साल की break भी ले लेंगे, you know, like they'll add up. So in like if you'll see, foreign graduates are actually far more younger compared to American grads that you'll be working with.
Insane. And also American students का जो debt है, that is more than us. Like for the undergrad, some students are spending like $100,000 यहाँ पर, और उसके बाद medical school में जाना और debt. They are at the end of 12 years, they are like having debt of $200,000. और आपने जो बताया, that was $20,000. There's a huge difference.
That's what people don't consider. That's what people don't consider is you have this access to world-class training and then like insane amount of salaries that I'll elaborate on before without any debt. Because India में क्या होता है, your parents pay, like, you know, like culture ऐसा है कि there's the first की debt नहीं लेनी. India is very like, आप देखोगे Indian families are very much against debt, right? And secondly, your parents pay a lot for everything because they've saved up enough, right? Like India में होता है कि अपने बच्चे के लिए ये करना है, right? So that's why it's just like far better. Like we are in a far better spot. Trust me.
Absolutely. ये बहुत बड़ा privilege है. Now let's talk about the rewards. आपने first of all, why you chose psych, and what will be the reward at the end of the hard work of these 9 to 10 years?
So the reason, so I like based on what my scores were and my application was, I could even have gone into plastic surgery. If you like want to make $1 million plastic surgery, I could have even got a neurosurgery. But there were reasons I did not go into these specialties, and I took psych. And I would be honest and candid with this. I am not going to give you a high mighty answer, but like the first one would be psychiatry. If you look at the whole world, 1 in 4 people go through major depression once in their lifetime, right? Depression, it's everywhere now. And the way, and the reason for this is like this disruptive evolution ki technology itni fast evolve kar rahi hai, but we can't, right? Social media itna fast, like stimulus दे ही जा रहा है, and we can't adapt to that. So that's why depression के rates बढ़ने वाले हैं. अभी तो 1 in 4 people go through major depression once in their lifetime. Secondly, according to statistics, depression and neuropsychiatric disorders are the #1 cause of disability in the whole world, right? Which nobody is tackling. And अब क्या देखोगे आप टाइम में 10 साल में इतनी awareness बढ़ जाएगी इनके लिए, right? Psych की जो अभी value है ना, like it's much more like a Tesla stock is what I'm gonna put it at, right? 10 years में you will see it shoot up because, and it's already happening now if you haven't seen it. यहाँ पे क्या है, अगर आप psych की आपको एक psychiatrist को दिखाना है, it's a 3 to 4 month waiting time. यहाँ पे कोई like nobody, it's just so hard to get into like to reach a psychiatrist because इतनी demand है, right? That's another part. And I am passionate about it. I wouldn't elaborate on how passionate because it's a whole like 1 hour long discussion. I'm incredibly passionate about it, and it supported this, the need for the world, right? Because if you're passionate about something like, but there's not a need for it, that's going to be a big like bad combination, right? If you love something and you can make money off it, that's a good deal. But if you love something and there's like no money coming from it, that's a good hobby, right? I get like the whole thing, like you shouldn't run after money. I definitely agree that, but I'm never saying like go with money and take out passion, but passion first, add money, see if it does. And this specialty will provide you that. And in the work-life balance here is the best in all of medicine specialties that you'll see. For example, most psychiatrists work 40 to 50 hours a week, nothing, right? 4 days a week. And the rest of the 3 days you can do freelancing if you want. right? Medicine is not everything. You can do whatever you want. If I want to write, let's say, make a course on depression, on how to beat depression, I could do that. So I see myself like making courses, or let's say teaching medicine in the future. So that's why psychiatry was a very big good fit for me, is because of the work-life balance.
Brilliant decision, यार. It's not about money. अब मैं मानता हूँ कि plastic surgery अगर आप pursue करते हैं, you could have made millions. क्योंकि Bollywood actors को ही देख लो, they are spending not just $1,000, $100,000 तक वो खर्चने के लिए तैयार हो जाते हैं. So this is a big money game. पर I think by pursuing psych, एक तो आपको people's person बनने का मौका मिलता है. You are understanding real life problems, right?
Yeah, like psych mein, what you're dealing with. Okay, I'll just give you a brief gist of why I'm passionate about psych. So first thing, it's incredibly complex compared to other fields of medicine. If you look at psych, thoughts, emotions are very much real. Your mind is real, but it's metaphysical, right? You can't touch the mind, you can't touch the thoughts, you can't touch emotions, unlike other parts of the body. So you're working with something that's changing like at an incredibly fast speed dynamic, and you need to be like thinking at a very abstract level, right? Which requires a lot of mental cognition, which is why I love psych, because it just puts me into flow. It's complex. I love working with this, right? Secondly, I feel like if you look at the placebo effect, right? I feel you're familiar with the placebo effect. What is the placebo effect? Placebo effect is the mind's ability to accelerate the healing of the body, to help it, right? And it is so powerful that even if you look at, like, if you tell people it's placebo, it will still work. Like, there's a study done in Harvard, like you can look it up, open label placebo effect. Even if you tell people it's placebo, this is pill mein sirf salt hai, they would actually heal from that stuff, right? So the mind has this ability to interact with the body, even heal it sometimes, right? You'll see all these miracle cases, and that is because of the placebo effect. So psych interacts with medicine at so many different levels. Your mind is like the software, right? And body is the hardware. Agar, if you can, let's say Apple ke products hai, the hardware probably is not that good, but the software is so well optimized that everything works out. So psych, that's why it plays this central role which connects every other specialty, right? If you're depressed, everything stops working. If you're depressed, chances of MI go up. If you're depressed, you will stop exercising, diabetes goes up, right? So psych is connected to every other specialty, right? And that is very visible through the placebo effect. If you look at it, every trial tests a medicine against the placebo effect for the sole reason of it.
ये जो चीजें, it gives hope. Like आप जो काम कर रहे हो, like people are dealing with so many mental issues, they have lost like hope with life, and जो आप value add करते हो is like priceless. So that makes you so unique, right?
Definitely. And if you want to, like, this is just a good way to find out your purpose is like this intersection between these three circles that I like. What do you love doing? Right? Number one, what are you really great at doing? Number two, number three, what does the world need? Right? Only if these three circles, like, you can make them intersect at a certain speciality, I think you'll become a great physician, because not only are you enjoying it, you're really great at it. So it's not like a hobby, right? And if you're great at it and you want to serve the world with it, you're going to make money in the end. And money is secondary, but it will follow. So I think that model, like looking at these three circles, is a really good one, in whichever specialty you want to get in.
So thank you so much, Manik, for so informative session. आपने एक-एक चीज़ों को break down किया with so amazing examples. And any last advice you would like to give out to students?
So if you're a medical student and like you have this, a lot of people have this financial issue with USMLE, that it is expensive, and I definitely understand that. I would ask you to, let's say, in medical school, start freelancing. Freelancing is such a big thing, right? You can start video editing. Video editing is, everybody needs video editors right now if you're a big YouTuber or whatnot. So like, I know it's expensive, but don't just rely on your parents. Kya hota hai India mein, I feel like with a lot of people, you are very much like have an umbilical cord attached, and they will let their parents make every decision, right? Who to marry, who not to marry, what career to pursue, and they never live their own life because you're financially dependent upon your parents, like, and their validation also, like that also matters. I would say break that umbilical cord, do whatever you want to do, and find a way to make your own money and fund it through you. Because even if your parents don't agree with it, you can go ahead with it with your own like capital and whatever you have. So I feel like that's what is taught in America. Ab America mein dekhoge na, that thing, I love it, is कि ये लोग कितनी जल्दी, like I know a lot of people don't like that कि ये family culture नहीं है, but it also is a very good thing for them. This nuclear thing is because when they separate, they become their own man or woman, right? They make their own money, they make their own decisions, and you will see it in their, like in the people here, right? अब जो neurology कर रहा है यहाँ पे, psychiatry कर रहा है, they're incredibly passionate about it. They are doing it a lot of times with their own debt, not their parents' money, right? So try to break away from that. Try to find your own, let's say, freelance hobby or whatever, make money off it and make your own decision if money comes to be an issue a lot of the times, which I think is a big issue with so many people in India.
टोटली हम सब अपने पेरेंट्स पे इतना डिपेंडेंट है, बट यहाँ पर वो केस नहीं है। एंड ये एक बहुत बड़ा लेसन है जो आपने बताया कि वी कैन एक्चुअली कम आउट ऑफ दैट बबल और अपने से खुद या तो डेट ले सकते हैं या तो लोन ले सकते हैं, अपने से ही वी कैन डू फ्रीलांसिंग टू बी सेल्फ रिलायंट एंड सेल्फ इंडिपेंडेंट, ताकि हम अपने डिसीजंस खुद ले पाए।
Yeah, definitely. And like that's what matters in life in the end. You don't want to live a life that somebody else wanted. Like you want to live your own life. So that's my final lesson, is just choose your own journey. Don't think about other people's opinion or your parents' validation. Be your own person. There's a really good book. I like The Way of the Superior Man by David Derrida. Right. And I think like he tells like live as thy father were dead. I know, like it doesn't mean it literally, but like what he meant out of was metaphorically, live as thy father were dead. Don't care about their validation. Don't care about what they would think of you. Right? India में होता है कि proud करना है हमें अपने parents को. That is like not a really good mentality, because then you are living to their validation. So do your own thing. Just live your own life. Right? Respect your parents, love them, they will love you, but be like, make your life your own. Don't let other people run it.
Thank you so much, Manik, once again, and please feel free to check out his channel for in-depth free information on USMLE and studying in the US as a medical student. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. You can check me out on Manik Madan. That's my YouTube channel, my name. And let me know if I can help you with anything. So take care.